What could be more motivating than a glass of Tropicana orange juice in the morning? Achieving your goals, making money, de-stressing? Okay, maybe they're not as good as orange juice, but they are still pretty nice. Welcome to the Orange Juice Podcast, where you'll get motivating and action-provoking content without all the pulp. Your host, me, Reggie Davis, brings orange juice to inspire the world with stories and ideas, both personal and shared, to help you peel back your fears and squeeze out your best self. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of the Orange Juice Podcast. If you notice, well, if you're watching me, you'll see that my setup is a little bit different. Main reason being, I can't figure out how to get my camera to work, which means this episode is probably going to be good because there were some obstacles that tried to get me to stop. But no, I'm continuing, just doing it on my phone. And today is a special episode because I'm going to talk to you guys about turning 30. For a while, talking about turning 30 kind of seemed like a nightmare. Like, I remember as soon as I turned 26, I was getting texts like, well, you're 30 now. You're basically 30. And I feel like I wasn't really dreading it. And like turning 30, I don't feel bad about it. But I think that the main thing earlier on was like, okay, by 30, I'm going to do this. Like, I feel like everybody thinks about their 20s like the fun years. And then 30 is like, okay, I need to buckle down. Like, people are saying I want to be married by 30. I want to be have my kids by 30. I want to have my first million by 30. We've all said that, haven't we? And in a way, I think about how I could be further along now. I kind of talked about that last episode, so I'm not going to talk too much about that now. But like, I think I could be a little further than where I'm at. I know one thought that I had that I know it's just based in like negativity, but it's like, wow, I really can't be on the 30 under 30 list. But I mean, like, that's silly. You know what I mean? Like, focusing on where other people are at is just going to slow me down. You know, comparison is the thief of joy. Let that be your nugget of the day. So I've been thinking about being 30, and I kind of already talked to you guys before, again, referencing last episode, about how I had like a very pivotal mind reset coming into this year, which is coincidental because now I'm turning 30 and that is like a big birthday. And so I think that very coincidentally with everything I said, I think this is going to be the start of some of the best years of my life. And I know that in church, we kind of say that all the time. Like, the best years are always ahead of you and not behind you. And I always think about how you make that possible. You know, they say like you don't remember the good old days until they've already passed. But I'm just trying to keep trying to think of like, how can I make the days ahead of me better? And everything I keep getting back to is kind of things I've already like heard before. And one of the main things is really just staying youthful. You know, I listen to like a lot of different people like who motivate me before I come to you guys. So like somebody I listen to, Gary Vee, like he's very successful, multimillionaire, and he talks all the time about how like he'll talk to people who are like in their 20s and people older than me, and he'd be like, dude, you're so young. People would pay so much money to be 30. People would pay so much money to do their 30s over again or to do their 20s over again. And like when he meets kids who are, or I'm saying kids, but like I'm sure he meets people under 20, but when he meets people who are stressed out about where they're at, one of the main assets he talks to them about is their youthfulness. And just the fact that they're young and have so much time ahead of them. That's kind of how I feel now. I feel as if I have a lot of time ahead of me. I feel like things haven't been, like if I could have wrote my story, I wouldn't have put it where, you know, I made $1 million after 30. But at the same time, I wouldn't have placed a lot of things in my life that the way they happened, but they did happen that way for a reason. I have to trust the divine on that. And I'm just going to keep going forward. Where I'm at now is good enough to get me where I was supposed to be at. And that's really all I can rest in. And for anyone else who's kind of out there thinking like, well, my time has passed, or you don't like where you are now, one of the best pieces of advice I've heard, well, at the time I heard it about exercise, if you don't like something, change it. And a lot of times you can. And if there are obstacles in the way, like, okay, well, I want This is a weird first thought, but okay, so I want my body to look a certain way that only a BBL can do, and I need some money to do that. Save the money. If you want to travel the world and you know that you don't have the money to travel the world, take it one destination at a time or plan it, put it on the board, figure out how much you need to do it and do it. But if you want to have anything in life go well for you, and if you want to experience that, then that kind of goes along with just putting your focus towards it. But, well, not really, but, and. So I was thinking about just staying youthful, right? Because I'm turning 30. Well, I've turned 30. And these are the years where people make it seem like it's a decline, where things are supposed to be more stable. But at the same time, people who are multimillionaires would talk about how these, like all these years, like even being 30, you're still young. And I keep thinking about, well, when do people get old? Like, how do you get away from youthfulness? Like, I literally went as far as like kind of doing a little research about it. I didn't really get too deep into it, but so age is just the length of a time that a person has lived, but youthful is being young or seeming young. So then I started doing some research on how to stay youthful. Because to me, staying young is like most important. Keeping that aspect of myself is important because I feel like the idea of growing older, there are parts of aging that I think are beautiful. But at the same time, I think that when most people attribute to age, or when they think about just getting older, they think about like slowing down. Like their life has to change. Like, have you heard people say things like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm too old for that," or I don't want to do this anymore." And there are some things that honestly that might be maturity speaking, but there are many instances where people are just saying, "Well, I'm not about to run a race. Like, I'm too old for that." Oh, I'm not about to just go to parties or something like that because I'm too old for that. Honestly, stuff like that, like there's definitely a difference between like, oh, I'm too old for that because I'm being mature, or I'm too old for that is because I want to just I feel like my age, like the number, just means how I should act. And that is something I'm like so against. I think that I was kind of thinking about how I would put this into the podcast. I was worried that I would get canceled, but I'm going to say it. I think that like we have such a mindset today on like alcohol and drugs for a lot of people that the main way that people can connect to fun, like the main way people can connect to fun nowadays just seems like they have to involve those two things. Like it seems like it's almost as if when before people were 18 or before, I guess I should change that. Before people like smoked or drank, it's like they didn't have fun. It's like when you were a kid, you didn't like to go outside and play, or you didn't like to go play video games, or you didn't like to just hang out and just do picnics and stuff like that. I don't know. But it's so interesting how fun like that seems. It seems to be so common. Like there's no such thing for a lot of people. There's not a lot of fun without those two things. And I think that's so limiting. I think that I'm going to share with you guys a list that I found on how to stay youthful. But one thing that wasn't on there that's definitely me is just the idea of just finding new experiences. I was just I was visiting my grandmother, and she's at this, she's in a senior community, and she was hanging out with these other ladies. And so I was just talking to them about the cruise that I just went on. And one lady was in there saying, well, I would never get on a cruise. And I'm like, why? And she was like, well, firstly, I've never even been on a plane. This lady is in her 70s, has never been on a plane. And I kind of was asking her questions about it. And of course, I couldn't dive too deep. But she was just saying, like, if I was going somewhere, I'm just going to drive. I'm not getting on a plane. Like, that's too scary for me. Imagine 70 plus years of life, never getting on a plane, not even be able to say, like, knowing how something like that feels. That's wild to me. Because of what? Fear? And I'm not saying fear isn't, I'm not saying I guess I don't get it. I'm sure my first time being on a plane was scary. But at the same time, it's just like, she was saying, okay, well, like letting fear dictate your life like that is just, The Imagine not being able to like say you did something. To me, it's crazy. We only have like a set amount of time to live and so many years that we're all going to have. But to miss out on something because of something as small as fear in the grand scheme of things, if it's something you want to do. And I guess that's another thing that's like tough about that, because it's like, I'm sure in her mind she doesn't want to. But I think that most people can't really decide that you really don't like something until you do it. I read a book once that was talking about like, it was a really small excerpt. It was saying that you should try everything 3 times. Once to get over the fear of doing it, 2 to do it the right way, and then a 3rd time to figure out if you actually like it. And I think that idea is really profound for what it is, just because I can't imagine how I would feel having not gone on a cruise. And it wasn't my idea to go on the first cruise I went on. So this is my 2nd year in a row going on one. And I'm honestly kind of on the fence about doing it a 3rd time in a row because I have so much fun. But before I went on my first cruise, I didn't know I loved them. I didn't know they were so much fun. And so it took someone else kind of having an experience and sharing that with me for me to be like, you know what? Okay, whatever. I'll give it a try. And I'm sure at one point in my life, maybe I considered it like, okay, that's kind of freaky. But at the same time, I'm so glad I did it. I feel like so many people probably live their lives like missing out on things that they could potentially love doing, but they just won't even try it or don't even know. Like, to me, that's scary. This is a weird philosophy that I've had that I'm going to share that I feel like ties in. I always think like when I go out to a restaurant that I still haven't tried my favorite food yet. Like, ask me now and I'll say like, oh yeah, pizza or like chicken parm, like definitely probably my favorite things. But at the same time, like there's so many foods that I haven't tried yet. Like we're so used to staying in like our same norm or the same, I guess the same like, I don't know, circle of things that we're comfortable with. But there's so many things that are out there that we don't know yet. You don't even know what you don't like. You don't even know what you do love. There are too many things to experience, too many places to go. Your favorite travel location, you've probably not been there. Your favorite food, you probably haven't eaten it yet. But I'm saying all this, but getting back to what I was saying about just the trips in general, or her saying that, the one lady saying she had never been on a flight, the other lady saying she has never been on a cruise. If you're hearing this, please heed my advice on this. Do something different. I think that's one of the most exciting things to stay youthful is just keep having new experiences. Or another one is just don't be afraid to go back to old ones. I don't care how old you are. Being too old to dance, like I love to dance. I really do. I don't think I'm the best dancer in the world, but I do like it. I like to sing. I like to play video games. And I used to think when I was 18, I remember talking about this with Kyrie. We used to say like, yeah, like after a certain point, we wouldn't play video games anymore because we'd probably be too busy with stuff. And to me, it's like so comfortable now. I think he plays them less, but even still, like that's something I enjoy. And it used to kind of be like, in my mind, but who cares what other people think? Like if you don't like grown men playing video games, then that's cool. But I'm a grown man who likes to play video games. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with liking what you like. And if you spend time worrying about how other people feel about what you like, you really won't enjoy your life anyway. So like what you like, do what you do. Don't be afraid to try new things, and definitely don't be afraid to go back to old things that you like. I kind of want, and this is me speaking personally, I want to dive into like some new hobbies. Like just thinking about the things that I like. There's so many ways, even if you take it to a business standpoint, like there's so many ways to make money with the things that you like. Why aren't I doing that? Like, don't get me wrong. I love box and barter. I like helping people out, but I wouldn't say I'm passionate about, the experience of moving furniture. But just thinking about trying new things, you never know where that could lead you. Or doing old stuff you like in a new way, who knows? So try it. I don't think I have more to say on that. So I wanted to give you guys 5 tips that I looked up on how to stay youthful. So I tried to skip out on all the common sense like eating and exercise. Like I tried to avoid stuff like that. I only included in this list things that at least were good to me. So 5 things that'll keep you youthful. Let's go. So first one is sleep. And obviously everybody knows, oh, more sleep. But what was surprising in what they said, and this is coming from WebMD. Everybody's listened to WebMD at some point. So they, in reference to sleep, they say experts say that there is no human alive who can get less than 6.5 hours of sleep and suffer no consequence. So they've determined that the people who claim that they're fine are just accustomed to the effects of sleep deprivation. It happens over a long period of time. So that gradual, like the gradual feeling, the negative feelings you get from sleep deprivation, you're just getting accustomed to them. So yeah, like definitely sleeping more could like, I can't even imagine, vitally help your brain and just staying young. The second thing they said, again, this one that surprised me, that they said moisturizing your skin. I was surprised because of what they said going further. So they said if you don't moisturize enough, you can get the rough and scaly look of someone older. Now, maybe I'm silly and I do moisturize, but I didn't know that people who have that rough and scaly looking skin, I didn't think that was just a lack of moisture. I always thought it was like deeper than that. So moisturize your skin, lotion up. They said do it twice a day. Try to avoid alcohol in your cleansers. But let me see, squinting. That was another one that surprised me. They said when you squint, you wrinkle the skin on your face over time, which leads to lines and wrinkles. And they also said any face you make can result in lines. So the suggestion was one, watching making certain exaggerated faces, but also wearing glasses when you're outside to avoid squinting. Personally, I don't usually wear sunglasses outside, and I definitely would be the hitting a little. I'm squinting if you're listening to me. So if you yeah, like if you're outside, having some sunglasses is important just to keep yourself from making those faces. Because yeah, I'm usually pretty expressive with my eyebrows too, so I would hate to see that like some lines forming because of that. Watching your blood pressure is another one. High blood pressure raises your risk of age-related problems like vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So probably because it damages the tiny blood vessels in your brain. And you can control your blood pressure with, diet, exercise, and regular medication. So definitely keeping your blood pressure in mind, which is something I guess it can't hurt to do. I don't personally. That's why I'm saying that. So another one that surprised me was they say you don't lend a helping hand. Your body releases more pleasure hormones or endorphins when you spend money on other people than when you spend it on yourself. And the idea there is that doing so, more endorphins lowers your stress, subsequently leads to healthier heart, healthier immune system. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the other one they talked about was your checkup. And it was talking about regularly just getting a physical exam from a doctor. It was mostly talking about people over 50, but at the same time, that just made me think of something that a chiropractor said to me before, and I think is really powerful. They said that pain is always the last thing to show up, and the first thing is always the first one to go and the last thing to show up. So in other words, you have an issue in your body, and your body, like there's that issue is present, but you don't feel the pain until after the issue is already present. And then when you start trying to make yourself feel better, okay, so most people will just wait until the pain is gone and then they'll stop, not knowing at the same time there's still an issue. You're just not feeling the pain anymore. So I think that in general, going to a doctor way before you have any issues or any pain, I'm probably speaking to more men like myself, because I'm definitely the person like I worry when something's wrong. So if you even if you're feeling good, go to the doctor, get checked out. You never know what's up. And preventative measures are always better than like reactive measures. You can prevent something, and it's usually much more simple than the process to fix it once it's already broken. So, just watch out for your bodies and keep yourself in check. So, all in all, with this podcast, I've turned 30, but I plan on staying young for a very long time. In fact, I'll probably be young till the day I die. And that being said, I kind of hope that you guys all have that same experience. Like being youthful is a mindset, and age is really just, in the world we live in right now, where R. Kelly and so many other things are happening, I don't really feel comfortable talking about age. being just a number. But conceptually, you get what I'm saying. So please, please don't use your age as a reason to not do anything. Um, Continue to grow older, grow more mature, but still have fun. Keep yourself youthful. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. So that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to this podcast episode. Check out the other ones also because they're good. And yeah, be blessed. See y'all next week. Okay, I'm done.